Born to Sell offers you a fast way to find covered call candidates that are exactly what you are looking for. It's a covered call screener with a simple and clean interface that's easy to use. Let's take a look. On this page, we see the Members Only section, the General Search page. It has three basic filters at the top, one for expiration, one for moneyness, and one for stock price. On each of these, if you put your mouse over the thumb, it will tell you its current value, and you can, of course, click and drag the thumb to a new value, and when you let go, the results table below updates immediately. If you're looking for in the money options, you can drag the moneyness slider down to in the money, and then everything on the page will be an in the money covered call. Likewise, if you're looking for specific stock prices, if you say you want something between $10 and $50, you can set the sliders from 10 and 50, and everything on this page will be between $10 and $50 stock price. On the results table, there are several columns. They're sorted by the one that's in orange. Right now it's annualized return if flat. If you'd like to sort by something else, you just click on the column header. For example, if you want to sort by downside protection, we'll click on that, and now the entire table is sorted in order from those with the most downside protection to the least. Some of these items have a red date. That is a warning telling you that there is an earnings event coming out prior to option expiration. Now we've got the expiration set till December. Let's crank it back to October 22nd. So now we're looking at October options, and we see that only some of these have earnings before October 22nd expiration. Now, if you don't want to take earnings risk and you'd like to remove all of these covered calls that have earnings risk from the results set, you can go into the Advanced Filters section. We'll click on that to pop it open. And there's a checkbox right over here that says Earnings Before Expiration. And if we uncheck that, watch what happens to the red items below. The results table updates, and now there is no more earnings risk in any of these covered call candidates that has shown up. I'm going to hide those advanced filters. We'll come back to that in a minute. Likewise, if you're not familiar with what these companies are, if you hover your mouse over the stock symbol, it will tell you the name of the company. So that's an easy way to figure out what these are. And if you want to see the entire covered call chain for a certain company, you just click on it, which I'll do right now. I'm going to click here on Qualcomm, and it brings up a new tab with the Qualcomm covered call chain. So now we're looking at every covered call that is available for Qualcomm. At the top there is a command called show, and you can choose if you'd like to see just a few, which is right there, or if you want to see what we just had, which is more, or if you want to see every possible covered call, you click on all, and now you're looking at every possible covered call that Qualcomm has. The little E, the red E here, is telling you that there is an earnings announcement prior to the November expirations. So the October options have no earnings risk. The November options do have earnings risk. And these ones in dark gray, that means that those are in the money options. That's the strike price column right there. Sorry. Let's go up to the top. And we're going to go back to more. So there we go. These 44s through 47s are in the money because this is a $47 stock, $47.65. And the 48s, 49s, and 50s are out of the money. So a quick way to see who's in or out of the money. And like the previous search results page, you can click on any column. If you want to see what's the highest yielding covered call available on Qualcomm, we'll click over here on Annualized Return if Flat, and we see that the October 47s are the highest yielding covered call available on Qualcomm. Likewise, if you want the highest downside protection, we'll click on Downside Protection. And now it's showing us the January 2012 Leaps, the 4250 strike, has 17% downside protection. Let's go back to the screener. This is where we were just before. I'm going to resort this by Annualized Return if Flat. And I'll notice here that there, in the next ex-dividend date column, there is a date of October 6th. That is a good thing. That's why it's in green. That means that there is an ex-dividend date of October 6th, which is before the October 22nd option expiration. So if you were to do this covered call, you would get the call premium plus the dividend, which in this case is 5 cents. And the return numbers shown on the right do factor that in. So they're assuming you're going to get the call premium and the dividend. Now each one of these rows is a covered call candidate. So let's look at it briefly. Let's take this first one here. Deutsche Bank is currently being asked at 33.43. It's saying that you could sell a 32.50 strike and receive $3.40 for that in the money option. If you did that, your net debit or your out-of-pocket cash to put this trade on would be $30.03. You would have 10% downside protection, so the stock would have to drop 10% from where it closed today before you would start to lose money. The next earnings is after expiration, because this is for the October 22nd expirations that we're looking at, and there is no dividend. If you were to do this covered call, you would make 8% in about 19 days, which annualized is 158%. Likewise, all the other rows here represent different covered calls. Now let's look into the advanced filters and see if there were things that you wanted to eliminate from this list. For example, maybe you don't want to take FDA or pharmaceutical risk. In that case, you can come over here to the include list and say, I don't want the healthcare stocks. So just check that box, and now all the healthcare stocks are out of the list. We already took out the ones that have earnings. If you want to stick to just the big stocks, the S&P 500 stocks, you can click on this box. And now all the results are limited to S&P 500 companies. If you happen to be an ETF covered call trader and you only want to look at exchange traded funds, you can click on this box, only ETFs, which I'll do now. And now everything that's in this list is an ETF. So that's an easy way to filter for exchange traded funds. We've taken out the leveraged ETFs, the 2x and 3x ones by default, but if you're risk loving and you want to see those, you can click leveraged ETFs, and now you've got them all. And they're in red to warn you that these are in fact 2x and 3x leveraged ETFs. So very dangerous. Can't recommend those really for covered calls unless it's for a very short period of time. I'm going to go back to the S&P 500 list. And let's say there was one in here that you just didn't like. Let's take this first one, Lincoln National. Let's say for whatever reason you just don't like that stock and you don't want to see it in the results anymore. There's an exclude box over here, and you can type in as many symbols as you want. I'm going to enter LNC and watch the results table. It has now removed LNC from the results. You will never see LNC in any results table across the site as long as you leave this symbol in the excluded box. So that way you can start to accumulate a list of companies that you know you hate, or at least the ones you're not going to invest in, and not be bothered by them in the results table. They won't clutter up your results. You can also change the columns that are being shown here. If you click on this Edit Columns link, the window will come up and it will allow you to turn on and off different columns. Let's say you wanted to see the open interest column, so I'm going to check on open interest. And let's say you wanted to write out of the money calls and see annual return if called, in addition to annual return if flat. I'll check that on. I'm going to hit save, and when we come back we have new columns. On the right here we have annual return if called, and here we have open interest. You want to sort by it, you just click on it like any other and it will sort by that column. Okay, we also have sliders so that you can bound the PE multiple, the market cap, if you want really liquid stocks, the open interest of this option series, the option price. So pretty good way to get to narrow down the filter on what you're looking for. Okay, in the next video we're going to talk about our specialized search modes, max protection, which is for risk averse, dividends, which is for dividend capture strategy, the earnings covered calls, which are for the risk loving, a unique income goal tool, and then the top 10, which is an aggregated list of what our members are currently holding.